Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
You are listening to the Brilliance Business Show, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. We have a wonderful guest on the show today, Ulli Appelbaum, author and award-winning marketing and brand strategy consultant. Ulli, welcome to the Brilliance Business Show.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks for having me on your show. Really appreciate it.
I'm really looking forward to a conversation with you today, Ulli. Before I get started, I just want to make a legal disclaimer that Ulli is not offering legal advice or legal assistance. So let's get started with the show.
Great
Ulli,
disclaimer.
A great disclaimer just for those who may be wondering. Now, Ulli, can you share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yes, absolutely. So name is Ulli Appelbaum. As you can hear, I'm German. I was born in Germany, but then moved very quickly to spend the first 10 years of my life in Africa, the next 12 years of my life in Belgium. Started my career in account planning and strategy in various advertising in Germany and Eastern Europe, and then moved to the US 20 years ago, again, working at various large global agencies in the account planning function. And then in 2014, my family comes from, or my wife comes from Minneapolis, the Minnesota. So I decided to move here for lifestyle reasons, and decided it would be a good time to start my own consulting practice. And the company is called First the Trousers, Then the Shoes. And I basically provide strategic branding services for really a wide variety of companies, both small entrepreneurs that have startups to large global multi-billion-dollar organizations that operate in many different countries. So a wide spectrum of customers.
An excellent background, Ulli, and branding is so important for personal brands, for businesses. It really, really is so important. And also, Germany is a beautiful country, Ulli. I went to Dusseldorf. It's so green out there. It's absolutely lovely. Now, Ulli, tell us a little bit about your customers. Who are your customers?
Mm-hmm. So typically, it's really a variety of customers, and it evolved over time. So, and it depends on the services I'm offering. So in the last few years, I've worked increasingly for a lot of software companies and IT companies. And I think the value I provide there is that they really discovered the value of strategic marketing and brand building. So bringing me in allows them to basically, hire this expertise to help them build their brands, build their businesses. But I also work for a lot of packaged good companies, and for them, I primarily do positioning work and brand positioning work. And that is based on this methodology I've developed and written this book about, which I think we may mention during this call. But so what they're looking for is really a more rigorous, more thorough way to explore the potential brand positioning territories than what they currently have. I recently had a client reach out to me from Europe, actually. They're working on, they're managing various European brands, and they felt that their brand positioning platform was undifferentiated and a bit generic for the category. So they bring me in to help them really crystallize what their brand could stand for, what would make it different, while taking into account the different geographies it's operating in. So it's really a variety of clients, which is perfect for my ADHD mindset. So it gives me the variety and the diversity I need to keep sort of like engaged and interested.
So nice for you as well, serving your clients and seeing them grow as well. Mm-hmm. Do you recall a specific aha moment that led to the launch of your business?
Yes, I do, and that's a great question. You know, Mark, I worked in corporate, in a corporate environment for many, many years before starting my own business. And in the last few years, I started to realize that sometimes a solution that I thought was right strategically for my clients wasn't the right for the organization, wasn't the right one for the organization I was working with, because it wasn't part of the solutions we're offering, right? So typical example is maybe for a specific brand with a limited budget, you know, you need to build a sort of like social media community. But if the company you're working with makes its money doing advertising campaigns, there is an inherent conflict, right? So this happened to me 2-3 times over the course of a couple of years, where I realized, you know what, we cannot offer this solution that would be right for the client and for the business problem they're trying to solve, simply because that's not how our business model is set up. So I decided to, you know, and that sort of like was very frustrating, because we typically put a lot of work in trying to find a strategic solution. So that's one of the triggers for me, that was to say, you know what, I want to be able to recommend strategies to my clients that are really media agnostic or execution agnostic. So I do not sell advertising, I do not sell PR, I do not sell social media. And maybe sometimes for a client, the best solution is a sampling initiative at Costco. You know what I mean? But if you sell advertising, you're not going to recommend that. So that was for me the big motivator to say, okay, I want to be able to be independent of any form of execution to provide the best possible strategic advice. That was really what pushed me into starting my own business.
Nice. What really motivates you to jump out of bed every single day?
That's another great question. I had two things. On a personal level, on a holistic level, it's really my family and seeing them grow. On a professional level, you know, people come to me, or client comes to me when they're looking for an answer to specific strategic questions, when they feel like they are stuck, when they feel like they don't know, they don't see many opportunities on how to grow their brand. And there, for me, the really exciting part is to help them either reframe their business or help them answer strategic question that all of a sudden open again a new world of opportunity. It's like a release valve, you know, from, I don't know how we had a client reach out to me saying we're growing by 2 to 3% per year. That's not enough. We want to grow much faster than that, but we don't see any growth opportunity in the category. So we help them basically realize that their business is twice as the category they were operating is twice as big as what they thought it was, and that there were so many untapped consumer needs in that category, untapped in the sense that they didn't have a product yet to satisfy that specific need. And all of a sudden, the client saw this. It was based on a lot of analysis and rigorous research. You know, the client looked at this and said, oh my God, there are so many opportunities for us to grow. We weren't able to come up with that on our own. So those are the moments I live for professionally, really provide this clarity and this excitement about, you know, future growth potential for the brand.
Great reasons to get out of bed on a morning.
Mm-hmm.
And what sets your business apart, and what unique need are you filling for your clients?
So it's a variety of things. It's always a tough question to answer. But for one is the level of experience, right? There is no sort of like certification in the world of brand strategy. So you have people that have three years of experience, and then they have people that have like 25 years of experience. And I've been building brand around the world and across many, many categories. So the likelihood that I've encountered an existing business problem is extremely high. That's sort of like the number one. And I've learned very early in my career that, you know, there is no point of you sitting in a meeting if you cannot add value, and if you cannot, you know, enrich the debate and enrich the conversation. And you do that by either asking different questions or tapping into different sources of information, or looking at the information you have in a different way. But one of the feedback I'm getting from my client is our ability to always elevate the strategic conversation and bring new perspective and fresh perspectives to their business problems. That's sort of like number one. And number two is really, and that's specific to a core of our offering with this brand positioning development, which we apply a methodology that really is based on the analysis of 1,200 case studies of successful brand building. And that allows us to really explore potential solutions for a positioning problem our clients might have with much more rigor, much more depth, and much more width than any methodology I've seen out there. So the likelihood that we're going to come up with a really innovative solution, but that is also highly relevant to the specific consumer segment, is significantly higher than any other methodology I've seen out there. And we can do that in a time frame that is shorter than a typical development of a positioning platform, which can take anything from 3 to 6 months. We are able to do that much quicker. And the last thing, Mark, I've learned is, we are really problem solvers. In addition to branding and business problems, often our clients have constraints in the projects they're able to finance. And to give you an example, not too long ago, I had a client of mine, a repeat client, that said, can you help us find a market research company that can help us do a global awareness and UNA study, global meaning in the US and in Europe. And they came with this request. It was like early December. And, I did my due diligence, reached out to a variety of large market research companies. And, either they wouldn't come back to me or they would say, yeah, this process would take 3 to 6 months and would cost around $200,000 to $300,000, which was not an option for this client. And it was frustrating to get all these answers, but then it hit me that we can do this ourselves with the same level of rigor and quality at a fraction of the cost. So we took it upon ourselves to do it for this client, and we were able to get the results by early January. So taking into account the holidays, at a fraction of the cost these large companies, were quoting us for. So this is for me like a learning as well. It's like we help our clients come up with solution, taking into account their constraints, whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's, whatever else this might be. We are there to facilitate decision making and be creative in the way we allow to do this decision making. So those would be like 3 reasons that, might make it worth to work with us.
Why is your service especially important in today's modern world?
It's interesting because I've been a strategist my whole career. And with the advent of the internet, social media and stuff like that, one big trend I've seen in the world of marketing is the marketing became more transactional and less strategic, right? So click-through rate and these kind of things, transaction became more important. And what I've seen in the last few years is sort of like a reversal of this trend, because people understand that, transactions are not the way to build brands. Big strategies and big ideas are. And there's an increasing amount of research that came up in the last couple of years that really proves that, having strong brands with strong brand association that are really differentiated in the category and yet relevant to consumers, not only allow brand to create to maintain a bigger price premium, which is increasingly important now in the world of inflation and looming recession we're headed towards, but it's also a way for a brand to improve loyalty, repeat purchase rate, and also to increase the valuation of the brand at the stock market. So there's more and more data that proves that strong, differentiated brand association drive business results. So that's rewarding to see that, my whole career is built on something that I always thought was highly relevant, to see the data now showing how important this actually is. And hopefully you see a small change in the mentality of the marketing world, going back to strategy, away from transaction and away from execution.
Can you just share a few more details on the kind of services and products you offer?
Yes, absolutely. So as I said, we only do strategy. We don't do any execution, which allows us to really be candid with our clients. And it's anything from understanding your core market and your core customer segments within the specific market. So identify your most valuable consumers. Um, there is strategy development, which includes everything from brand positioning development in the IT world and the software world or technology world. That often translate into also identifying the right messaging strategies, right? So how do I need to speak about my, let's say, technology product to a buyer on the corporate side of these large corporations? And then also innovation, which is really, identifying new market opportunities, growth opportunities that are on brand and that will help the brand grow. So those are sort of like the services we provide. Obviously, we provide all the research that allows us to do to answer this strategic question. But we're not a research company in the sense like, if you come to me and say, we just like to do a UNA attitude, can you do that for us? Technically, I could do that for us, but if it's not associated with a strategic challenge or a problem that needs to be solved, we typically will not be doing it. So that's really answering strategic challenges for our clients using data. That's what we focus on.
Now, I know you have all sorts of client success stories. What's one that really stands out to you?
Well, the interesting thing, Mark, in my business is, you do a strategy project for a client, and then it takes a little while to implement it. So you're not involved in the implementation, and then yielding results from that work takes a little while as well. But take an example that comes to my mind, and that is still extremely rewarding, is a client of mine who is in the software industry, provides big enterprise-based softwares. A client with whom I've been working for 3-4 years now. I've literally done, 8, 9, or 10 different projects with them and for them. And anything from, helping them at the very beginning identify a positioning platform that would resonate globally, to helping them organize their product portfolio around relevant consumer needs, helping them understand some of their core customer segments or how to best onboard new customers. So it has been a succession of projects I've done with this client. But what's tremendously rewarding is to see over time how this gets implemented in their communication, in their website, in their product portfolio. They literally launched last year, based on a project we did for them, a brand new product that was completely rebranded. And what's really rewarding is to see them grow year after year after year. So it's unusual for a consultant to be with a client for 3, 4, 5 years, but it's tremendously rewarding to see them grow, implement what you decide together with the client, and then see the company evolve and blossom into this extremely strong and profitable brand. So that would be for me an example that is both rewarding, and frankly, the fact that they call me on a regular basis for a new project adds to the reward, as you can imagine.
I love a success story. And Ulli, just tell us a little bit about your new book, the Brand Positioning Workbook.
Yes, thanks for asking. So the Brand Positioning Workbook is really filling a gap that I found in my career and in this world, which is there's so many books about brand positioning, but there's really not a book that provides you a simple how-to guide on how to develop brand positioning platforms. Often they pursue an agenda, which is promote the philosophy of the author who wrote it, or they take general positioning principles and apply them to, personal branding or technology branding or specific verticals, so to say. And so this book really maps out a step-by-step approach on how to develop brand positioning platforms. And the engine of the book is really what I alluded to earlier, is this understanding that there are 26 sources of brand associations that can be used to position a brand. And I didn't make up these 26 sources. They were literally the outcome of the analysis of these 1,200 case studies I mentioned earlier. So the idea is, when you read the book or use the methodology, is really by exploring these 26 sources of brand associations, you will come up with a large and wide range of potential solutions for your brand that provide way more variety and diversity than any other methodology I've seen out there. And because you have access to more options and more diverse options, the likelihood that you'll be able to come up with one positioning that really stands out, that really differentiates your brand, and yet that is really relevant with consumers, is significantly increased. So, and that's the feedback I'm getting from my client as well, that it's really a richness of exploration that is unusual out there. And because we have these 26 sources of association predefined and go through them, we are able to do so at a much higher speed than a traditional process, that explores and asks, where do I need to look for? Where do I look, et cetera, et cetera. So we're able to move much faster than, as I said, most of the methodologies I've seen out there.
Ulli, I have thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today. Lastly, just share where our listeners can get a copy of the Brand Positioning Workbook, and also share the best way for our audience to connect with you as well.
Yes, thank you for asking. So the book is exclusively distributed on Amazon. So if you either type in my name, Ulli Appelbaum, or the Brand Positioning Workbook on Amazon, you will get automatically routed to the right direction, and you can order it as an ebook, as a paperback, or as a hard copy. That's the beauty of Amazon. And the best way to reach out to me is really, and I love when people reach out to me, is through LinkedIn. So type Ulli Appelbaum in LinkedIn and my name pop up, or type the positioning workbook in LinkedIn and my name will pop up as well. So that's really the best way to reach me and learn more about me.
Ulli, I thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today. Thank you so much for being my guest.
No, thanks for having me, Mark. I really enjoyed the conversation, and you're asking great questions. So thank you for that.
The pleasure's been all mine. You have been listening to the Brilliance Business Show, conversations with leading experts in business. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.